dum da dum da dum da dum da da dum da dum da dum da dum da da.
Can't everybody stop for 10 minutes? I mean, everybody seems that that's the only. Everybody, can we stick? I mean, it's not that much to ask. Is that when everybody has to move when I'm trying to concentrate? I mean, it's so rude. I can't believe it. Why does everyone all of a sudden have to move? That 2 hours to move around. Wait 10 minutes. I'm sorry to explode, my guy, but it's like no one's ever worked before. I actually can't believe what I just saw.
Radio guys who don't have time for the facts.
I heard a dial tone. And there were 7 people. I mean, we need to use the studio for 15 minutes.
Guys are off to a great start, don't you think?
Hey, buddy, I'm not paying you to hear your thoughts on life.
Well, I have a microphone, and you don't.
So you will listen to every word I have to say!
I know that you do some terrible, terrible things, and I can prove that you do these terrible things, and sure enough, contained in the package was stuff to prove that I do terrible things.
Excuse me, is that your nose or did a bus park on your face?
I just love the way you talk.
Hail to the king, baby. Don't call me stupid.
Oh, right! To call you stupid would be an insult to stupid people!
Victory is mine! Got news for you, dude.
I'll use small words that you'll be sure to understand, you warthog-faced buffoon.
The guilty pleasure offered by the existence of the Sideshow Bob is simple and understandable. 99 times out of 100. Nearly every time we partake of the movable falafel feast, he serves us nothing but comedy. Farce, slapstick, unconscious self-mutilation, the Sisyphus of morons, if you will. But this is the 100th time out of 100. It is not funny at all. That's on the record and documented. Americans who deserves better than the Sideshow Bob of commentators. We all do.
Well, I think you folks have a real fine show, and it's going to be successful just as soon as people find out what time it's on.
Oh, they're terrible. They're so terrible.
Do you want them to run through it again?
No, let's just move on. We have a lot to do.
All right, here we go. Are you ready? Are you ready? Let's get it on. Come on.
Do you understand the words that are coming out of my mouth?
Terrible. What are you doing to me? You'll miss the opening. This is the most important number in the show.
This show's broken, has not even begun yet. Good. This show's unairable.
It's the Joel Oriend Show.
I can hardly wait.
Today's worst person in the world.
Joel, I love you, and please behave yourself. Now, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome my son, Joel Oriend.
Thank you very much, Mother. I do appreciate it. Hope you are having a great weekend so far. Memorial Day weekend certainly feels a lot different than a normal Memorial Day weekend, considering I've been in the house on the premises here at the Farmhouse Studios for about 2 months. It doesn't really feel like a 3-day weekend per se, because quite frankly, every day in a week feels like a three-day weekend. So, but hopefully you take a moment to remember and to think about those people, whether you had somebody serve or whatever, who made the ultimate sacrifice for our country. Take a moment out of your time to honor them and salute them in some appropriate way over the next couple days. Let's bring in Tanner here. Tanner, you're finally done, right? School is all wrapped up. Finals are in the can here.
That is correct. I am finally done.
Finally. So what's the big plans now? Now that you're not so busy with school, what are you going to be doing?
Well, I mean, if you want to throw some work my way that I can do, then feel free. But as of right now, I don't have anything major coming up. Obviously, everyone's plans have kind of been hindered as of late, so that's made it difficult to find a summer job or anything. But maybe as things start to open up, that could be something I look for. But as of right now, I don't have anything on the radar.
You're confident that you passed everything?
Yes.
Good. All right. Well, while the exams at school are done, I have another question for you. I want to test your musical knowledge. Now, this is a little bit before your time, but you have a diverse palette when it comes to music. You listen to a lot of different stuff. So I heard this week, and at first I couldn't get it. And then when I heard the answer, I was like, oh, I totally should have gotten that. I'm going to play you a clip of a song, okay? And then I want to see if you can tell what song this became and was a huge hit for another group. Here you go. I was a man. If you were a woman, I was a man. So that's Bonnie Tyler, 1986. A woman way before her time. I mean, like, we're talking, if you were a woman and I was a man, that didn't really fly so well in 1986, but we're much more gender fluid nowadays. So I think that song would work more today than it did then. She was way ahead of her time. Do you know what song this was turned into and by what group?
I do believe so. I thought, before you played me that clip, I thought you were gonna have some dirty trick up your sleeve. I thought you were gonna pull out something from like 1940, pull out like some Frank Sinatra or something just to throw me off. But I do believe I have this one. I am gonna go with "You Give Love a Bad Name" by Bon Jovi is what it turned into. You got it. So obviously the words changed a little bit. If you were a woman and I was a man, to "You Give Love a Bad Name," change the music just a touch, and almost the same year. And that thing was an absolute smash for Bon Jovi. Now, I have another little test for you here, Tanner. All right, let me grab my iPad. While I do, just a show reminder, we're going to have Dickie Simpkins on here in just a couple minutes. He is a 3-time NBA champ with the Chicago Bulls, winning titles in 96, 97, and 98. Played with Michael Jordan, was there for the final three-peat as that dynasty came to an end. Want to talk to him about playing with Michael Jordan and how that all ended, the show The Last Dance, the documentary series on ESPN. He's now a scout with the Washington Wizards, and he also played for Providence in the early 90s, part of that old Big East. He had some great battles with Syracuse University in the early 90s. I want to chat with him about that. I did see this, and this is what I want to quiz you on this, Tanner. Let's see if you can get this right, okay? So Coleman Insights is a research study group, and they've came out with their Super Study 2.0, and they look at the most popular music and genres and everything, and they really dig down into the top 100 consumed songs in 2019 from 2019 that came out in 2019, but they also look at the most consumed songs, on radio and digital media in 2019. But that might not mean the song came out in 2019, just because in 2020, every song you might listen to on the radio or online or on your iPod or whatever on apps wasn't made in 2020. So we're going to get Jay on, I think, from Coleman Insights and chat with him about that. Kind of see, I'm interested to see, Old Town Road has to be up there, right, for the most consumed from 2019. That was all over the place. But I saw this. I thought this was very interesting with us being in an election season. One of the things they divulged from their study was that there's a difference, there's a shocker, between Republicans and Democrats on their music tastes, songs they like and they don't like, and the type of music. So reading here from this story, among consumers who have a positive opinion of President Trump, country represents 50% of their top 100 titles. The next highest testing genre is pop at 26%, the only other genre achieving a double-digit share of the top 100 contemporary songs. Then it's followed by a tie between alternative rock and hip-hop R&B at 9%, dance, electronic at 4%, other at 2%, and Latin at 0%. Meanwhile, pop titles perform best among consumers with a positive opinion of former Vice President
Joe Biden. These titles comprise 38% of their top 100 songs, followed closely by hip-hop and R&B at 33%. Performance of other genres includes a tie between alternative rock and country at 10%, dance electronic at 6%, Latin at 2%, and other at 1%. Now, why do I tell you that? Well, they found the song that's most popular among people who have a positive opinion of President Trump and the most popular song of the people who have a positive opinion of former Vice President Joe Biden. I'm going to play these songs for you, just a clip of them, Tanner, and then I want you to be able to see if you can guess which one is which one.
All right.
All right, so here's the first one.
Coming now, follow my lead. Coming now, follow my lead.
So a pretty popular and well-known song. He's been a huge artist over the last couple years. Ed Sheeran, Shape of You. Now, of course, you know, when I'm listening to this and then my wife comes home, I quickly get rid of it and quickly change the radio to something a little more like manly like this. Hey, honey, glad you're home. I'm just doing push-ups and bench pressing the couch, breaking beer bottles over my head. And, you know, then when she leaves, I go back to... Coming now, follow my lead. Coming now, follow my lead. So, that's Ed Sheeran, okay? So, here is the other song. Again, a very well-known song. Imagine Dragons, Believer. So, the question I pose to you, Tanner, is which one is the most popular song of which group?
Well, first off, before I answer that, let me just say that there's no shame in listening to Ed Sheeran when your wife's not around. I know I can confirm that I have my quote unquote when the homies aren't around playlist. It has all like the female artists that I listen to and stuff. So there's no shame in that. Now, as far as this question goes, boy, this one's throwing me for a loop because I thought it was going to be like two completely polar opposites that would be easy to choose, but this is not the case. But when I first heard Shape of You, that just sounds like something that I think that's going to be the ones that tested positively among the Biden supporters, because I feel like the people that might vote for Joe Biden are kind of younger, because younger people tend to be more progressive and liberal. So, and I think Ed Sheeran's target audience is kind of that younger group. So with that, I'm going to say that Shape of You was for the Joe Biden supporters and Believer was the Trump supporters.
All right, here we go. The best testing song among supporters of President Trump is Believer by Imagine Dragons. So you nailed that one. Congratulations. And, of course, that means Shape of You by Ed Sheeran is the top pick among Joe Biden supporters. Those two songs and three others, Someone You Loved by Louis Capaldi, The Middle by Zedd and Maren Morris, and Can't Stop the Feeling by Justin Timberlake are among the top 10 songs of both groups. Now, this is where I want to bring people together, okay? Let's unite. We can finally agree on something. We might not be able to agree that the bills stink, and, we might not be able to agree on, our political views and, how coronavirus was created and where it was created, but we've finally found something that we all agree on in this survey, okay? In a rare moment of bipartisanship, the Trump and Biden supporters agree on their least favorite song from 2019's most consumed songs. So I was not familiar with this song after I listened to it, thankfully. Our son is too old for this sort of stuff now. Thank goodness. I don't. Was this even on the radio? Was this a hit? I don't know.
Baby shark, baby shark, baby shark.
Weird cousin, weird cousin, weird cousin,
mommy shark.
Stingy uncle, stingy uncle, stingy uncle, stingy uncle. Mean brother, mean brother, mean brother, mean brother. So there you go. So listen, we can disagree on a lot, but we can come together finally and, extend our hands across the aisle and agree that we don't like Baby Shark. You know, they tell you when you get together, for the holidays and whatnot, don't talk religion, don't talk sports, don't talk politics, but you can talk our dislike of Baby Shark. Tanner, before we take a break here, why don't you go ahead and ask your trivia question for today?
All right, this is Tanner's topical trivia today because with The Last Dance coming to an end, we've had a couple former Bulls on. We're going to have some more. So we have some Michael Jordan trivia here today. So let's get into it. Michael Jordan once averaged 41 points per game in an NBA Finals series. Which team did he do it against?
Okay, great segue into our next guest on the other side. Former NBA player. He won 3 championships with Michael Jordan and the Chicago Bulls, 96 and 97 and 98. And as we go to break, we wanted to do something kind of special here for Memorial Day weekend. A lot of people normally travel, go to parades, have picnics, have get-togethers on Memorial Day weekend. It's a 3-day weekend, usually. A lot of people have radios on, and they're listening in their cars as they're traveling, and that's obviously not happening as much this weekend. So we wanted to do something a little special. So Tanner is 20, okay? And so this is essentially his lifetime. But we wanted to play clips, snippets of the top 100 songs from Billboard's list from 2000 through 2019. The biggest songs over the last 20 years. Okay. Now, Tanner, what did you take away from this? Most popular year and popular artist.
The most popular year was 2010. They had 8 of the songs. There was a handful of years that had 7, 2018, 2017, 2014, 13, 11, and there was a handful of other ones, other years that took home a lot of songs as well. But 2010 was the most with 8, and then the most popular artist was Katy Perry. She had 4 different songs in there, and then there was a handful of people with 3, 2, but overall it was Katy Perry and 2010 that dominated this list.
All right, go ahead and start us as we go to break here.
Coming in at number 100 on the top 100 songs of the last 20 years from 2006 is Promiscuous by Nelly Furtado featuring Timbaland. At number 99 is Work by Rihanna featuring Drake from 2016. Number 98 is Hello by Adele from 2015. Coming in at number 97 from the year 2000 is Kryptonite by 3 Doors Down. Coming in at 96, this one comes with a heavy heart, is Lucid Dreams by my favorite artist, Juice WRLD from 2018. Rest in peace, Juice. Number 95 is Hey Soul Sister by Train from 2010. Coming in at number 94 on the top 100 songs of the past 20 years, Poker Face by Lady Gaga from 2009. At number 93 from the year 2005 is Holla Back Girl by Gwen Stefani. Number 92 is Dynamite by Teo Cruz from 2010. Number 91 from the year 2003, Crazy in Love by Beyonce featuring Jay-Z. And number 90, California Girls featuring Snoop Dogg by Katy Perry from the year 2010.
Promiscuous girl, whatever you are, I'm all alone. And it's you.
Just get ready for work, 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 work. You see me happy work, 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 work. You see me do me that, that.
Another one, but I am the better one. I won't let you forget me. I still see your shadows in your soul, sister. Ain't that Mr. on the radio? Stereo.
bikinis on.
The Maple City Dodge sales department is open. Your favorite guys, Gary, Larry, Aaron, Doug, and John, are back and available by appointment. Simply call Maple City Dodge and tell them you're ready for a great deal. The incentives are huge, and the sales team is highly motivated. The service, collision, and detail departments are also open. They'll pick up, service, and return your vehicle when the work is done. Call Maple City Dodge in Hornell. They're ready to get you back on the road with the real deal every time.
There's nothing like clear, soft water. Soft water is better for you and your home. It makes your clothes brighter and whiter, and it makes your skin softer and hair shinier. How can you enjoy the benefits of soft water? All you have to do is call B&B Water Conditioning and Bath, 776-3037. Schedule a free, non-obligation in-home water analysis, and it won't be long until you'll be able to enjoy the benefits of clean, clear, soft water for drinking, cooking, bathing, and washing clothes. And it figures out to be just pennies a day. Your whole house will love it. It's B&B Water Conditioning, a Bath. Phone 776-3037.
You own your own business and need garbage removal, contact Lippincotts. And if you live in a town where you have to take care of your own garbage removal, contact Lippincotts. If you need garbage dumpsters, Lippincotts rents them, and Lippincotts can come pick up the garbage too. These days, you don't throw old electronic items in the trash, and Lippincotts can remove your old electronics. Lippincotts, for garbage removal, recycling, hauling, removal of asbestos or electronic items. For a free quote, visit LippinCottsRubbishInc.com. LippinCottsRubbishInc.com.
Hello, Walker Metalsmiths, this is Jeannie.
Hi, Jeannie. I'm trying to find just the right gift for my wife's birthday. How can a guy shop in these difficult times?
It's easy, just let me help you.
But I like to see and feel things before I buy them.
You can see our wide range of fine, locally made Celtic jewelry on our website at walkerscelticjewelry.com.
But what if she already has the piece I picked out? Or if it's the wrong size?
It's easy. Our return and exchange policy is very generous, but now we're making it even easier. Just talk to me, we'll work out a what-if plan, and I'll put it right in your order notes.
Thank you, Jeannie. I find it hard enough shopping for jewelry.
I've been helping people choose my dad's jewelry since I was a kid. Once I even sold a pair of earrings in the dark during a power failure. When the lights came back on, she loved them. I've had lots of practice, and I know how to make it easy for you.
At Walker Metalsmiths, we do some really difficult things and make it look easy. Shop online or call 607-478-8567.
At number 89 of the top 100 songs of the past 20 years, Sorry by Justin Bieber from the year 2016. Number 88 from the year 2015, Thinking Out Loud by Ed Sheeran. Number 87, Love the Way You Lie, featuring Rihanna by Eminem from the year 2010. Number 86, Locked Out of Heaven, Bruno Mars from the year 2013. From 2010, number 85, Need You Now by Lady Antebellum. Coming in at number 84, Give Me Everything, featuring Neo, Nair, and Afrojack by Pitbull from 2011. At number 83 is Lollipop, featuring Static Major by Lil Wayne from 2008. Number 82, Firework by Katy Perry from 2010. Number 81 from the year 2003, Baby Boy featuring Sean Paul by Beyonce. And number 80, Live Your Life featuring Rihanna by T.I. from the year 2008.
Sit down, listen to it, to say sorry now. I'm sorry. Maybe we found love right where we are. I guess I don't know my own strength.
Just gonna stand there and watch me burn.
You make me feel like I've been locked out of heaven. It's a 1:15. I'm a little drunk and I need you now. Give me everything tonight. Give me everything. When she say I'm look like a lollipop. Oh yeah, I like say I'm like a lollipop. Baby, you're a firework. Come on, show 'em why you work.
Baby boy, you stay on my mind. Get on my face. Come on, girl, tell me how you feel.
So live your life. You steady dressing up in just
Welcome back to the Joel Oriend Show.
Forget it, I quit. I can't do this anymore, man. My head's about to explode. My whole life sucks. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know where I'm going.
On 92.1 The Team.
Well, one of the biggest TV shows right now in the country, The Last Dance, the 10-part documentary series on ESPN about Michael Jordan and the Chicago Bulls. And our next guest was a part of those Bulls, the last three-peat for the Chicago Bulls. And Michael Jordan wanted to get his thoughts on the show. He graduated from Friendly High School in Maryland, went to Providence, was there from 1990 to 94, played in 126 games, averaged over 9 points and 6 rebounds per game. 1994, they went 20-10, going 10-8 in the Big East, finishing fourth, beat UConn, who was number 2 in the nation at the time, in the Big East tournament semifinals. They won the Big East tournament over Georgetown, lost in the first round of the tournament against Alabama, 76-70. Overall, at his time in Providence, the Friars were 73-53, played with a bunch of future NBA guys at Providence. Eric Murdoch, Marquise Bragg, Michael Smith, Ira Bowman, Eric Williams, Austin Crochet, played for Rick Barnes. Barnes was the head coach of the Friars at the time, was selected in the 94 draft in the first round, 21st overall, by the Chicago Bulls, played in the league from 94 to 02 for Chicago, Golden State, and Atlanta. 327 games in the league, 4.2 points per game, 3.6 rebounds per game, won 3 championships with the Chicago Bulls in 96, 97, and 98. He's now a scout for the Washington Wizards. Let's bring him on. But rather than me introduce him, why don't we have somebody who's a lot better at doing that sort of thing than me do it? Dickie, do you miss hearing that? Does that make you want to lace him up again and get out there?
I do miss hearing that. And I must say, out of all the interviews I've been doing, I did an interview for a radio station out of D.C., and they played the theme music of the Bulls when you start the lineups. But they had the best intro, but now you have taking over that spot because you took the intro to a whole nother level and brought Ray Clay in to announce my name. So I really appreciate that, man. It makes me feel real good.
Dickie, one former NBA player told me you knew when you heard that music on the road in the playoffs, you were about ready to get closed out and your season over.
Oh, that's funny.
There is no doubt teams in the 90s hated hearing that music on the road. I was a Boston Celtics fan, and I know I hated that music and that voice. That's for sure, because it meant trouble. Let's start out from the beginning with you. You're a standout basketball player at Friendly High School in Maryland. Were you a multi-sport athlete? Did you just concentrate on basketball?
I played only one sport in high school. Before I got to high school, I played a little football, tried to play baseball. Baseball didn't really work out for me playing that. Football was okay, playing some wide receiver, and I actually played some soccer, which turns out that I was pretty talented in soccer and didn't know that. But once I got to high school, I focused on basketball. My high school coach had a conversation with my mother and I, said that I could eventually get a scholarship and keep her from having to pay for me to go to college. And so I focused in on basketball and locked in.
So you're a standout basketball player in Maryland in the shadow of Georgetown, which is a powerhouse there in the 80s going into the 90s. Virginia and Virginia Tech are okay. Gary Williams is just getting to Maryland to try to turn that program around. Which schools were looking at you, and why did you choose the Providence Friars?
Well, I grew up playing basketball in the famed PG County, the smallest area in the United States that has produced a lot of NBA talent, NBA players, professional players, and professional football players, as well as entertainers. And so I grew up a Georgetown, Maryland fan all my life. when I was younger, Big East and ACC. That's what I watched. And I said to myself, one day I'm going to play in the Big East or the ACC. And as my recruiting started to increase, as I became a more sought-after high school player and being recruited by a lot of schools, I started narrowing it down to the ACC and the Big East. I had a chip on my shoulder to go somewhere and create my own legacy, go somewhere where the school was building a foundation, go somewhere and be a part of creating a tradition. So when it came down to it, I thought I was going to go to UConn. Calhoun had just started to get that situation rolling up there in Connecticut. And then I went on a Providence visit after that, and it really felt this family atmosphere. And Providence, there was no football team at the college. We played at the big arena, so Providence basketball was like the NBA for the city of Providence, and it was away from home, and it was an opportunity to have a chance to start or play starter minutes right away as a freshman, and I wanted to play on TV. And so that's what made it all come down to going to Providence, and then, you know, they were just coming off of Rick Pitino's Final Four run. And that was what always attractive, but I felt like they were building a foundation there. Although Providence has had much tradition, it was like a newer foundation being built towards winning.
So as a Maryland guy wanting to break out on your own and make your own name and your own tradition, you go to Providence. So I was interested to see how you did against Georgetown in the Big East during your time at Providence. So you played them 10 times, you go 6-4, and you beat them in your senior year in the championship game as well of the Big East tournament. Now, my Syracuse Orange, you were a thorn in our side between 90 and 94. However, you did not fare quite as well against the Orangemen. You went 3-5 overall. In your freshman year, you beat SU at home 92-82. The Orange were ranked 6th in the nation at the time. Later that year, you go to the Carrier Dome. The Orange avenged that loss 101-83. The Orange were ranked 7th at the time. In 1992, you come to the Dome. The Orange win 79-66. Later in the season, the Orange come to Providence. They're ranked 12th in the nation. You beat them 87-73. In 93, your junior year, you lose to SU at home 69-57. SU was 24th in the nation at the time. And then you lose at the Dome by 68-67. Your senior year, you beat SU at home again when the Cuse are ranked 14th in the nation, 96-82. And then you fall at the Dome later that year, 79-73. Again, Cuse was ranked 14th in the nation. So it certainly wasn't easy to get a win at Providence while you were there. People may forget it was a gauntlet in the Big East back then. It was the beast of the East. Seton Hall was good with P.J. Carlissimo. St. John's was good with Louis Carnesecca. BC was good with Jimmy O'Brien. Connecticut, as you just said, was starting to go down the right road with Jim Calhoun. SU with Jim Boeheim. John Thompson at Georgetown. Villanova, Pittsburgh. It was loaded. At any time, you could have 5, 6, 7 teams ranked in the top 25 out of the Big East. So you didn't get a win at the Dome. You came close. You came within 1 point your junior year. Where was the toughest place to play on the road in the Big East in the early 90s?
Well, the Dome was obviously, the Carrier Dome was obviously probably the toughest place. And like you said, we never got a win at the Carrier Dome, which I was very sad and disappointed that we could never get a win there. We did quite a few times take care of business against Syracuse in Providence, and we would always have a chip on our shoulder when we played Syracuse, as well as, you know, the rivalry we had against UConn. But I would say the Carrier Dome, Gamble Arena, I think that's UConn's arena on campus and stores. That was a tough place to play, too. I would say those two places were the top 2 toughest places to play. I mean, otherwise, we were playing at the Capitol Center in Maryland, which was a big arena. But we always, you know, Michael Smith and myself, we always enjoyed going home, playing against Georgetown, and always wanted to kind of show that we could beat Georgetown. And then we played Seton Hall at the Meadowlands all the time, and that was a big arena. But I would say the Terry Dome and UConn's arena were the two toughest environments to play games in.
Want to ask you about your former college basketball coach, Rick Barnes. He doesn't get as much attention and run and credit because he hasn't won that elusive national championship, but he's 31st all-time on the wins list at the D1 level. Over 690 wins at a clip of 65%. He's 8th on the active wins list. He's coached at George Mason, Providence, Clemson, Texas, and now Tennessee. He made it to one Final Four with Texas in 2003. Give me your thoughts on playing for Rick Barnes at Providence.
Yeah, I believe Coach Barnes is one of the most underrated coaches in college basketball. Doesn't get the limelight that he probably deserves as much as some of those other guys. I would say Coach Barnes and Coach McDermott at Creighton, those guys have put it in the books. And Coach Barnes is, like you said, he's had major longevity coaching at high-level college programs throughout his career. And I came across Coach Barnes and played for him in the very early stages of his coaching career, where he was still trying to navigate and learn how he wanted to coach, the style he wanted to coach, the culture he wanted to build. So we were kind of like in that whole testing period for Coach Barnes. So it was a lot of ups and downs, but at the end of the day, came in as 5 freshmen, top 5 in recruiting class. I think it was Kansas, North Carolina, Duke, and then us in that 1990 recruiting class. And all the hard work paid off, the ups and downs paid off at the end, like you mentioned, where we finished everything off winning a Big East championship at Madison Square Garden and bringing Providence College the first championship that they ever had. So I would rank Coach Barnes up there with all the coaches that they talk about in college basketball today, because he's had longevity. He's won in each conference. You know, the ACC, the Big East, the Big 12, and now the SEC. He's won in 4 of the major top 5, top 6 conferences in college basketball. And Coach Barnes has a long list of NBA players, so he's right up there.
So your senior year, you have a good season. So doesn't the team. You get drafted 21st overall by the Chicago Bulls. Tell me, where were you on draft day? And were a lot of teams talking to you? Were you surprised that you went 21? Did you think you'd go before that?
Well, it's funny because when the draft process started, nobody had me going in the draft. Like, going into that senior year, I think a publication had me as one of the top seniors coming into senior year. But when it was all said and done, nobody was really talking about me being drafted. And my process was real focused, and I moved up the draft board real fast. Went down to the Portsmouth Invitational, the PIT, made all tournament down there, made the all tournament team, and then got invited from there to Phoenix, which was the second pre-draft event, where the top 60 or 70 players that they felt like were going to go in the draft played. And we won every game in that, and I made all tournament in that. And then from there, I probably worked out for 16 or 17 NBA teams. And every stage, my draft process went from not knowing if I was going to get drafted to definitely second round to definitely first round, anywhere from 16 to 25.
Wow.
And so it moved up pretty fast. But, I mean, I was focused on what I could do. I was able to show even more stuff, and I just went and handled my business and had a chip on my shoulder against all the guys that were considered ranked higher than me. And so once it became draft day, I flew to Louisville because my mother was there for an event that she had to be at, and I wanted to be close to her. So my agent and I flew into Louisville, set up in the hotel room, our draft room, and she came, and we all watched the draft. And I was just, when I heard Chicago Bulls call my name at 21, I just stood straight up, and it just felt like all the hard work paid off.
So the good news is you go 21st overall. You go to the Bulls, who finished second in the Central in 94. They lose in the semis to the Knicks, but you're now on a squad with guys on the front line such as Scottie Pippen, Tony Kukoc, Luke Longley, Corey Blunt, Judd Bushler, Will Perdue, and Bill Wennington. So you've got some veteran guys there that you're now going to have to try and fight for some playing time. And, oh, yeah, Michael Jordan decides he's going to come back and join you guys.
First of all, I was so excited about being drafted by the Bulls. Like you said, the Bulls had a championship brand established at that time in one of the biggest media markets in the country. So I was excited about that, you know, playing on a team that had won championships. But then at the same time, I was like, man, I'm not going to get to play with MJ.
Right.
But, I mean, I was always knew that everything was always going to be a challenge. I was ready for it, embracing it. And then fast forward, December of my rookie year, I'm laying on the couch in the lounge of the practice facility, just taking a little nap before practice. And all of a sudden I hear the door open, and I kind of turn around, and I hear somebody say, "What's up, young fella?" And so I really can't make out who it is. I turn back around and get a little bit more sleep, and I say to myself, that couldn't have been MJ. So I get up, get dressed, and then I go into the training room, and sure enough, it's MJ.
Wow.
And so that was when the talk of him coming back started being generated. But I was like, he's not coming back. And then like a week later, Phil came to us and said, MJ's coming back. Keep it under wraps. Don't talk to the media. Keep it quiet. So we had to keep it quiet. And then MJ started practicing with us. And then everything went from 0 to 100 real quick. Intensity, attention, turning back into a championship team, media, everything just when the rock band started for me. So that's kind of how it played out. And but no, the intensity went up across the board. I mean, you knew that things were changing real quick, and you better adjust real fast.
Yep.
So that was just the way it was.
On the phone with us, Dickie Simpkins, a scout for the Washington Wizards. He also does some college basketball analyst work for FS1. We just got to how the Chicago Bulls picked him 21st overall in the 1994 draft, and Michael Jordan has just come back, and they start their quest for the three-peat, 96, 97, and 98. Dickie, we got to take a time out here and take a break, but when we come back, I want to ask Dickie if he ever had a chance to play the GOAT in a game of one-on-one. I want to get his thoughts on what it was like to practice with Michael Jordan, the 99 season when that team was disbanded. Want to ask him about his current team, the Washington Wizards, and want to ask him about next level performance, a business he started after his playing days. Let's take a break, and as we do, we will continue our Memorial Day weekend Billboard Top 100 Countdown from 2000 through 2019. We'll be right back with Dickie Simpkins right after this.
Top 100 songs of the past 20 years. Coming in at number 79 is My Boo by Usher and Alicia Keys from 2004. Number 78 is Just Dance featuring Colby O'Donis from 2008. Number 77 is Love Yourself by Justin Bieber from 2016. Number 76 is Run It featuring Julez Santana by Chris Brown from 2005. Number 75 is Smooth featuring Rob Thomas by Santana from 1999. Looking at the top 100 songs of the past 20 years, number 74, Trap Queen by Fetty Wap from the year 2015. Number 73, one of my favorite songs on the list, I have to say, Hot in Here by Nelly from the year 2002. Number 72 is Goodies featuring Petey Pablo by Ciara from the year 2004. Number 71, I'm Real featuring Ja Rule by Jennifer Lopez from 2001. And number 70, another song from 2001, It's Fallen by Alicia Keys.
When we were younger, you were mine. Now another brother saying, alright, just dance. Gonna be okay. Just dance.
The way you look that much, oh baby, you should go and love yourself.
Let me see if you can run it. Girl, indeed I can run it. Yeah, it's just like the ocean under the moon. In love with the money, I ain't never letting go. And I get hard with my baby. I just love the money. I said, it's getting hot in here. So hot, so take off all your clothes. I am getting tired of you with the body. But you got a body. Got you all hot and body.
The way you walk, the way you move, the way you talk.
Hello, Walker Metalsmiths. This is Jeannie.
Hi, Jeannie. I'm trying to find just the right gift for my wife's birthday. How can a guy shop in these difficult times?
It's easy. Just let me help you.
But I like to see and feel things before I buy them.
You can see our wide range of fine, locally made Celtic jewelry on our website at walkerscelticjewelry.com.
But what if she already has the piece I picked out? Or if it's the wrong size?
It's easy. Our return and exchange policy is very generous, but now we're making it even easier. Just talk to me, we'll work out a what-if plan, and I'll put it right in your order notes.
Thank you, Jeannie. I find it hard enough shopping for jewelry.
I've been helping people choose my dad's jewelry since I was a kid. Once I even sold a pair of earrings in the dark during a power failure. When the lights came back on, she loved them. I've had lots of practice, and I know how to make it easy for you.
At Walker Metalsmiths, we do some really difficult things and make it look easy. Shop online or call 607-478-8567.
The Maple City Dodge Sales Department is open. Your favorite guys, Gary, Larry, Aaron, Doug, and John, are back and available by appointment. Simply call Maple City Dodge and tell them you're ready for a great deal. The incentives are huge, and the sales team is highly motivated. The service, collision, and detail departments are also open. They'll pick up, service, and return your vehicle when the work is done. Call Maple City Dodge in Hornell. They're ready to get you back on the road with the real deal every time.
If you own your own business and need garbage removal, contact Lippincotts. And if you live in a town where you have to take care of your own garbage removal, contact Lippincotts. If you need garbage dumpsters, Lippincotts rents them, and Lippincotts can come pick up the garbage too. These days, you don't throw old electronic items in the trash, and Lippincotts can remove your old electronics. Lippincotts for garbage removal, recycling, hauling, removal of asbestos or electronic items. For a free quote, visit LippinCottsRubbishInc.com. LippinCottsRubbishInc.com.
The top 100 songs from my lifetime, aka the past 20 years. Coming in at number 69 from the year 2002 is Lose Yourself by Eminem. Number 68 is E.T. featuring Kanye West by Katy Perry from the year 2011. Number 67 is Hangin' by a Moment by Lifehouse from the year 2000. Number 66 is Irreplaceable by Beyonce from the year 2006. Number 65 is Breathe by Faith Hill from the year 2000. Top 100 songs of the past 20 years. Continuing our countdown at number 64, we have Counting Stars by One Republic, released in 2013. Number 63 is In the Club by 50 Cent, from 2003. Number 62 is Crank That by Soulja Boy from 2007. Number 61, The Way You Move featuring Sleepy Brown by Outkast, released in 2003. And number 60, Burn by Usher, released in 2004.
In the music, the moment you own it, you better never let it go. Kiss me, infect me with your love, and fill me with your poison. Take me by the moment you must not know about me. I could have another you in a minute if you're free. It's washing over me, and suddenly I'm melting into you. We'll be counting stars.
Full of bub, mama, I got what you need. If you need to feel the buzz. The boy up in it. Oh. Why me crack it? Why me roll? Why me crack that Soulja Boy, that Superman, that why me?
What is the matter with you?
It's the Joel Oriend Show.
Gosh, yeah, the Billionaire Show is strict around here.
On 92.1 The Team.
All right, welcome back, everybody. On the phone with us is three-time NBA world champion Dickie Simpkins. Played his college basketball at Providence in the early 90s. Gave my SU Orange complete fits. Knocked them off multiple times when they were ranked in the top 25. He's now a scout with the Washington Wizards, and we are talking about his time with the Chicago Bulls from 1995 through 1999. He was just drafted 21st overall by the Bulls, and Michael Jordan has just returned to the team. Dickie, let me ask you, did you ever play the GOAT, Michael Jordan, in a game of one-on-one before or after practice?
Played one-on-one only one time, and the game didn't finish. We started playing it like right before practice started, and we never finished the game, and I can't even remember what the score was, but MJ was talking trash like usual, and I was trying to go hard and beat him. but we never finished the game.
Okay.
But, yeah, as you can see through the documentary, MJ was a very competitive person. And you know, a lot of people are competitive, but I think the next level of competitiveness is MJ had an unbelievable mental ability to intimidate his opponent. He had a mental ability to grasp the moment and be the GOAT, be the guy, and embrace that. And that just took him to another level as far as competitiveness, and he always found an edge or found a reason to take his competitiveness to another level. And that could have been cars on the plane, it could have been shooting drills like Judge said, obviously the games, and it was in practice also when one team would play against the other team. And then when Phil wanted to make it even more ultra competitive, he would put Pip on one team and MJ on the other team, and they would guard each other. So, I mean, MJ is just, you know, he was an ultimate competitive leader, and that's why championships come into play.
Sure.
Because that's what it takes.
I would be afraid, Dickie, if I was you. He's so competitive on these 5-on-5 games you have in practice. Were you afraid if maybe you blocked him once, he would just want to come at you even harder?
No, we would never. I mean, as far as our team and group in practice, no, nobody was afraid. I mean, that's what MJ wanted. Seeing that competitiveness out of his teammates and trying to defend him, to try to block his shot or whatever the case might be, it just turned the level of competitiveness up even more. But it also made MJ respect you more because he saw how competitive you were, he saw how hard you were, and he saw how you did your role, and you didn't let the fact that his practice and his MJ, you know, make you scared. I mean, MJ was going to test that in you at all times, and so you better show resistance and competing.
Dickie, what was your relationship like with Jerry Krause? Because in the docuseries, it kind of points out that there was a little bit of friction between Krause and guys like Phil and MJ and Pippen towards the end. But I was curious, what was your relationship with him like?
My relationship was pretty simple. He was the general manager. I was the player. I remember when I first got drafted by Jerry, and I came to Chicago, he took me fishing. And we went fishing, and he kind of talked to me about, you know, the Chicago Bull brand, the culture. We talked about some different things, and we talked about fishing. So that was the only time we had like a outing that didn't have anything to do with basketball. And then other than that, it was all business. It was a business relationship.
Now, this was just covered in The Last Dance, the famous flu game or the food poisoning game. Do you remember that game? Because I think it was uncertain right up almost to tip-off if MJ was going to play in that finals game against the Jazz.
Yeah, I remember that game like it was yesterday, and we all thought it was the flu. We all thought he had flu. We knew they kept on trying to hydrate him, and we saw how he was fighting through fatigue and lack of energy. But it was just another testament to his amazing abilities to mentally will himself through to do whatever it took to win. But I always thought it was the flu. I never knew anything other because that's what we thought it was. So that was something interesting to find out, that it was food poisoning. And I'm not surprised because when we were playing in all these different things, playoffs and games, I mean, there was so much going on, so many people trying to get into the hotel, so many people trying to see MJ, so many people trying to see the team. I'm not surprised that, you know, he orders a pizza and then, you know, has food poisoning. I mean, we played in the finals where in Utah they had a band playing outside our hotel all night and then early in the morning. So there were all kinds of things done to, you know, I guess detour the process or detour the goal of a championship. So the way it was described, 5 guys delivering a pizza, that is very strange. And the fact that the way he felt the next day, yeah, I wasn't surprised.
On the phone with us, Dickie Simpkins, 3-time world champion with the Chicago Bulls. Had a quick stint with the Warriors and then real quickly at the end of his career with the Atlanta Hawks. He played overseas with multiple teams. He's now a scout for the Washington Wizards. He was for Charlotte before that. I want to ask you, so now you're kind of in the front office, you're scouting, you're the college NBA G League guy. You were a player on a dynasty. You were there as the dynasty kind of have ended. Which is harder, do you believe? Because Krause gets a lot of credit for building the dynasty, and then he gets the credit for breaking up the dynasty. So now that you're trying to help a franchise like the Wizards build, what do you think is harder, building a dynasty or keeping a dynasty together?
Oh, man. I would probably say they both kind of have equal difficulties. I mean, building a dynasty is one difficulty. You know, it has a high level of picking the right pieces, drafting the right pieces, acquiring the right pieces in free agency, and then having the right coach and situation and culture and vibe for it all blend together. I mean, that is very difficult to do. You can't just do that every day, and it takes one, like MJ said in the documentary, it takes one piece to kind of get those things, one amazing piece to get it rolling. So that's very difficult. A lot of things have to play in your favor. You know, obviously you have to evaluate the talent. Obviously, you have to be in a certain spot in the draft or move or make a deal to move in a certain spot to get the talent that you feel is that player. And then, you know, generational talent only comes around. I mean, there's only one Michael Jordan, there's only one Kobe, there's only one LeBron. Like, they don't come every draft like that. I don't care what the marketing elements are of the prospects in the draft. Only one generational franchise-changing guy comes once in a blue moon. So it's hard to put a team together. Then, when you do get the team together, like the Golden State Warriors have done, yeah, it's very hard to keep a championship team together because now you have to deal with the elements of the financial part. Right. Everybody getting paid the way what they think their value is, and there's the balance out to your salary cap. Does everybody feel like they're getting the fairness of the shine or the credit for the winning? Managing egos, managing personalities, managing brands, managing the budget, and managing to keep everybody on the same page and not leave the reservation is very, very difficult. And Phil, MJ, and Pip did an excellent job of helping manage our situation. To answer your question, they're equally difficult.
That is true, and that's why I think, you know, in the NFL, it's obviously a little different with the cap and everything, but that's why you got to tip your cap to what the New England Patriots do and how they've been so consistent over 20 years, because it is difficult to do that over a long term. So it kind of, you know, ends. Jordan's gone, Pip's gone, Jackson's gone. You have a very good year in the 98-99 season. You average over 9 points that year. I think the only guys left are you, Kukoc, Ron Harper, and Bill Wennington. While you had a great season, it just had to be so difficult to be on that team, Dickie. You got a new head coach, Tim Floyd. I mean, you just lost the greatest of all time, but you guys have to try to move on. Let me ask you this. How tough was it that year in the 99 season? You knew that obviously the team was having to start from scratch, and it was going to be not only difficult internally, but externally for the fans as well.
The other players you missed were Randy Brown, Rusty LaRue, and Keith Booth.
Oh, right.
Those guys. Yep. But I mean, it was an ultimate challenge. It was very difficult, but at the same time, as we saw that as the summer started and we saw that none of the guys were coming back. Jerry had did a sign and trade with Judd, I believe, did a sign and trade with Steve, did a sign and trade with Luke. Because we saw the pieces starting to move. MJ was shutting it down. Pitt had a sign and trade on to Portland, I believe. B-Rob went on from there. As we saw the pieces not coming back, we started to embrace. You started to have to try to process it and embrace it and just figure out if you're going to be one of the pieces that do come back, that it's going to be a rebuild. You haven't had to get your mind right. And once we saw that, then you add on the fact that it turns into a lockout. So now the season doesn't start until February. So theoretically, the fact is we went into a lockout season as the defending champion, not name. Right. But the complete team wasn't the defending champions team, but the name, we were the defending champions. And I think what people have to understand is the record that we had for that 50-game season wasn't an indication or wasn't indicative of the talent that we had. I mean, we had a lot of young guys. We had a lot of guys trying to find their way to the NBA. We had acquired some new guys like Brent Berry, my buddy Mark Bryant, who was a vet pro. So we had a variety of guys in different phases of their career.
Yep.
You know, some guys winding down their career and a lot of guys starting their career, and then a few guys still trying to were in a place where they're trying to find their way to stay in their career. So you top that with a 50-game season, a lockout, a rushed preseason, and then put on top of that a rookie NBA coach who came into a situation which is probably one of the hardest situations you could come into.
Sure.
Following the act of Phil Jackson dynasty, that's tough. That's like somebody being an up-and-coming performer, and they go out and perform right after Michael Jackson just ran through 10 songs on stage. That's a tough act to follow.
That is true.
So, at the end of the day, Tim tried to find his niche, set his brand, and he was humble about the process and leaned on us veterans to help guide him. We tried to do everything we could to make sure his transition could move because we knew it was going to be tough as far as wins and losses. So it was very difficult, but we understood, and I felt like the fans understood for the most part because the fans were still good and they were packing the arena. And I'm sure it was difficult for them to watch at times, but it is what it is, man. It was a decision that management made, and we had to embrace that and figure out the best way to make it transition as best as it could.
So not only did you play alongside Michael Jordan, you also worked as a scout for his Charlotte Hornets from 2010 to 2018. So I was curious, how did you end up in that position as a scout for the Hornets, and is working with Michael Jordan, the owner, any different than working with Michael Jordan, the player?
To answer the first part of that question, I ended up in that position because I was doing TV for ESPN, TV analyst for college basketball. I get a call on my way to do a game. I was doing a University of Illinois game in Champaign, Illinois, and I get a call from MJ and Rod Higgins, who was the GM at the time. They called me on speakerphone, and MJ says that he wants me to come down there and work with him and be a part of what they're trying to build. And I was, I'm not going to tell MJ no because he's been good to me. Our friendship was good. He respected me. Obviously, I respected him, and he trusted in me. So I was ready to go. And so he brought me on board. And, yes, I was there for 8 seasons, and now I'm in my second season with the Wizards. So that was how that all came about. And then as far as MJ the owner and MJ the player, they're both the same, except one guy was doing the performance on the court and one guy does the performance off the court now. So they're both the same. They're both highly competitive. They want you to do your job to the fullest, do your role. Don't make excuses. MJ's going to hold you accountable, and he's competitive. He wants to win. They're both the same, and they both talk trash. MJ would talk trash, to the younger players and talk trash during the draft process. And I think that that's always amusing and fun. And MJ is showing that competitiveness that you better be able to handle it. Sure. And then at the end of the day, both of them are fun, have their fun moments of being around them and joking around and stuff. So they're both the same.
And obviously a lot of you guys, you go into, as you mentioned, you're doing one for work for Fox Sports, FS1 as an analyst. Some guys go into that, into the booth. Some guys coach. Some guys go into the front office. Danny Ainge with the Celtics, Kerr's the coach, with the Warriors. So you worked with Jordan, but the difference is it does feel that competitiveness just a little bit, Dickie, but you don't have as much control. It has to, they've had a couple winning seasons in Charlotte, but it's got to eat Michael up that he just doesn't have the control he did when he was on the court, and it's a lot tougher to turn a team around when you're in the front office than when you're on the court.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. You're absolutely right about that. You have control in one sense because you're the owner, but there's so many elements, pieces, and levels in between you as the owner and the product on the floor that has to go right or has to be on the same page or has to have the right mindset for the product to compete at a high level and for everybody, for all the pieces to fall into play. And you're right. It's different when he was playing because he had direct effect on the product on the court at the highest level, so he could affect that direct product with more control than you can as an owner because, at the end of the day, you put people in place to make certain decisions, do certain things, you get certain players, and now you have to hope that your process all works together, each piece, each level. Again, it makes it a more challenging process, like you said, than being able to affect it as a player on the court.
So now you work with the Wizards. You're a scout for them, college, pro, G League. Obviously, season wasn't necessarily going as you guys would have liked when there was a pause on it. Scott Brooks is your head coach. As a scout, obviously you got Beal. He's one of the best in franchise history. John Wall going to try to come back from that Achilles injury. He had a heel injury, then the Achilles injury. So obviously, if you can get him back, you'll be a different team. Where do you think this team is at? What do you think they need? And going forward, your thoughts on the Wizards?
Well, the Wizards made a change in the front office. The owner made a conscious effort to reorganize the franchise structure, and everything has been great on this new process. And like you mentioned, we have an unbelievable all-star in Bradley Beal. We pray and hope that John Wall comes back to be the John Wall he was and even better. And then we have some young pieces that we acquired, and Rui, a rookie that was having a very good rookie season. We acquired Admiral Schofield from Tennessee, who was in the development process. We were going back and forth from the G League team to the Wizards team. And so one of the things that we were having a segment where we were doing pretty good, and that was with still having a bunch of injuries this season. Like, we knew this was going to be the start of, I'm not going to say a rebuild, but a reboot.
Mm-hmm.
And acquiring some pieces. We have Bertrand from shooting, who we acquired from San Antonio, knocking down Jay. So I think I believe we have pieces to continue to build on and be right back in the mix of playoffs here sooner than later. I really believe we have some talent. We have some young guys. Bradley Beal's good. We hope and pray that John Wall comes back. I think sooner than later, we have the right accumulated or acquired the right pieces where we could be back in playoffs sooner than later. To answer the other part of the question, it would be good to acquire, another dynamic big. But, those guys don't just fall off the trees. Shooting is always something that you want to acquire. But, we're looking at all different pieces, and we're really studying this draft. And this is a unique and interesting and unprecedented process this year about how the draft is going due to the pandemic that we're in with COVID-19.
A lot of your former teammates, getting interviewed, newspaper, TV, radio, because of this Last Dance. And a lot of people asking them one of the most common questions, how would MJ do in the game today? I don't care about that. What I want to know is, how would number 8, Dickie Simpkins, be in the NBA today? It's a little more wide open game, 3-point oriented. How would you fit in the league today, Dickie?
I think I would fit in very well. I think if I was coming out today, I'd be the number 1 pick in the draft based on how I was playing back in Providence. And I'm saying that based on basketball IQ, feel for the game, talent, athleticism, and versatility.
Sure.
Like, all those things I've always possessed, and it fits today's game. So I think I would have been able to fare out well in this game.
Finally, next level performance. That is how I tracked you down. Talk to me about that real quickly and what that's all about.
Well, when I finished playing basketball in Europe and I felt like it was time to move on, I sat down with my wife at the table and we wrote down all the different things that I wanted to do, that I felt like I had the ability to do, and that I had relationships to help get started. Basketball trainer, developer was one of them, and I started NLP, Next Level Performance, in 2006. It evolved into grassroots basketball, where we built a large basketball grassroots AAU program and had the ability to affect a lot of kids, and we've had kids move on to the NBA. Brandon Paul was one of our first big names. He played at Illinois, played with the San Antonio Spurs. Javon Carter, who played at West Virginia, who's with the Phoenix Suns now. And then Admiral Schofield came up through that program, who played at Tennessee for my former coach, Rick Barnes, and is now with us with the Wizards. And we have a bunch of kids playing internationally, and we have a bunch of kids that have moved on with their lives in a very productive way as family men and different businesses. So that's how that came about. That's what Next Level Performance is, and that's what I created. And now I kind of pass it on to the guys that helped me start it, and they run the program now.
Dickie, thanks so much for coming on and chatting with us and walking down memory lane. It was fun talking with you about your great career at Providence, your 3 world championships with the Chicago Bulls. You're doing great work with Next Level Performance. I hope that continues, and let's hope those Washington Wizards, like you said, get back into the playoffs sooner than later. Thanks so much, and from mine to yours, stay safe, stay healthy, and thanks so much, and continued success in your post-playing career.
All right, I appreciate you guys. You guys stay safe and healthy, too, and thank you for having me on, man. I really appreciate it.
All right, there you go. Dickie Simpkins, 3-time world champion. He is also a college basketball analyst for FS1 as well in his free time. He is a busy man when we're not being quarantined, that's for sure. Fun to talk to him and get his thoughts on The Last Dance and the GOAT, Michael Jordan, and so much more. You can follow him on Twitter at DS8BBallin. That's DS8BBALLN. All right, let's take a break here, and as we do, we will continue our Billboard Top 100 2000 through 2019 countdown, the 100 greatest songs over the last 19 years on this Memorial Day weekend. It's 92.1 The Team. We'll be right back after this, everybody.
Continuing our countdown of the top 100 songs of the past 20 years, number 59 is Hey Yeah by Outkast, released in 2003. 58 is Someone Like You by Adele, released in 2011. Number 57 is Sexy and I Know It by LMFAO, released in 2012. Number 56 is Radioactive by Imagine Dragons from 2013. And from 2016, One Dance featuring WizKid and Kyla by Drake. Number 54 is Shake It Off by Taylor Swift, released in 2014. Number 53 is Happier by Marshmello and Bastille. That song came out in 2018. Number 52 is All of Me by John Legend from 2014. Number 51, The Hills by The Weeknd, released in 2015. And at number 50, we have Foolish by Ashanti.
Never mind, I'll find someone like you.
Sexy and I know it. I need a one dance, got a Hennessy in my hand. One more time before I go.
Baby, baby, I'm just gonna shake, 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 shake. I shake it off, I shake it off.
Lately, I've been thinking, I want you to be happier. I want you to be, 'cause all of me loves all of you.
But the only time that I be by your side. See, my days are cold without you, but I'm hurting while I'm waiting.
The Maple City Dodge Sales Department is open. Your favorite guys, Gary, Larry, Aaron, Doug, and John, are back and available by appointment. Simply call Maple City Dodge and tell them you're ready for a great deal. The incentives are huge, and the sales team is highly motivated. The service, collision, and detail departments are also open. They'll pick up, service, and return your vehicle when the work is done. Call Maple City Dodge in Hornell. They're ready to get you back on the road with the real deal every time.
Hello, Walker Metalsmiths. This is Jeannie.
Hi, Jeannie. I'm trying to find just the right gift for my wife's birthday. How can a guy shop in these difficult times?
It's easy. Just let me help you.
But I like to see and feel things before I buy them.
You can see our wide range of fine, locally made Celtic jewelry on our website at walkerscelticjewelry.com.
But what if she already has the piece I picked out? Or if it's the wrong size?
It's easy. Our return and exchange policy is very generous, but now we're making it even easier. Just talk to me, we'll work out a what-if plan, and I'll put it right in your order notes.
Thank you, Jeannie. I find it hard enough shopping for jewelry.
I've been helping people choose my dad's jewelry since I was a kid. Once I even sold a pair of earrings in the dark during a power failure. When the lights came back on, she loved them. I've had lots of practice, and I know how to make it easy for you.
At Walker Metalsmiths, we do some really difficult things and make it look easy. Shop online or call 607-478-8567.
92.1 The Team. WCKR Hornell.
top 100 songs of the past 20 years. Coming in at number 49, Independent Woman by Destiny's Child, released in the year 2000. Number 48 is Bleeding Love by Leona Lewis from 2008. From 2009, at number 47 is Down, featuring Lil Wayne by Jay Sean. Number 46, released in 2008, Whatever You Like by T.I. Number 45, released in 2001, You Got It Bad by Usher. Coming in at number 44 is Maria featuring the product G&B by Santana from the year 2000. From 2006, at number 43, we have Big Girls Don't Cry by Fergie. At number 42, released in 2017, it's Bruno Mars, That's What I Like. At number 41, we have We Are Young featuring Janelle Monáe by Fun, released in 2012, and also released in 2012. Coming in at number 40, we have One More Night by Maroon 5.
No need to worry, baby, are you down, 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 down? Stacks on deck, Patron on ice, and we can pop bottles all night, baby, you can have whatever you like. Got it bad, in your boyfriend, hang up and you call right back. Oh, Maria, Maria. Oh, big girl now, and big girls don't cry. Lucky for you, that's what I like. That's what I like. Lucky for you, that's what I like. That's what I like. Tonight.
Fly ball, right field. Maybe. It could be. Back at the wall. Goodbye. Home run. The Yankees win. Jim Leyritz, a two-run homer in the 15th inning. Yankees win 7-5.
The right fielder, Jermaine Dye, plays very deep. They're trying to cut off the extra base hit, but anything in front of Dye probably falls in, and he's playing right near the right field line. Grissom is a little bit over in right center, and Andrew Jones way off the left field line. Understandably, they don't think the Yanks can pull Wohlers. It'll be a 2-2. Swung on and hit in the air to deep left. Jones back toward the track at the wall. It is gone! A 3-run home run, and the Yankees have tied the game. Jimmy Leyritz did pull Wohlers, and he hit a 3-run home run over the left field fence. And the gritty Yankees have come all the way back, 6-0 down to tie the game at 6. Do you believe that?
That's pretty amazing. Leyritz hit the most dramatic home run last year, the one that won it in the 15th inning in Game 2 in the division series. And this one, it reminded me a lot of the Pat Kelly home run in Toronto. It kept going down the line, and it finally cleared the fence over the leaping Trav Jones. And the amazing thing, John, Wohlers hung a breaking ball.
Hung a breaking ball, and they say, I mean, this is part of baseball lore. Go with your fastball. You can't hang a fastball. He hung a breaking ball in Leyritz's eyes, an ultra-dramatic 3-run home run by a guy who's only in the game because the Yankees pinch hit for Girardi, something they never do. They needed a 3-run home run at the time. So Leyritz is in the game, and he hoists a 3-run home run to deep left. It was pulled to the line. That's the only ball he could hit and pull, a hanging breaking ball. He pulled it, a dramatic 3-run home run to tie the game at 6. How do you like your New York Yankees?
I like the way you talk.
Welcome back to the Joel Oriend Show.
I like the way you talk.
On 92.1 The Team.
Well, you just heard it there. What great theatrics. Great endings to those games. And the man who was at the plate with the big stick that hit those is on the phone with us. And, you know, Jim, I was hesitant to play those and put that together because I'm probably the 1,000,000th radio meathead that's played that for you before you've come on the air. Do those hits ever get old for you?
No, Joel, I appreciate you playing that. No, they don't really. It's a memory. It's a time. It's something that as a kid growing up, you know, every little kid that wants to be a ball player, that's what they dream of, hitting that home run in a World Series that could help your team win. And, to be able to experience that after a career of not being an everyday player, but still getting an opportunity to have some big moments was pretty special.
Yeah, obviously I know those are probably special to you and you think about them and people probably talk to you often. Which one of those two hits is more important or means more to you?
Well, I mean, the 95 walk-off home run in the extra inning game against the Mariners that I caught all 15 innings, and the battle that we had with the Mariners that year, and being a walk-off in Yankee Stadium in the playoffs, you really, at the moment, you can't really get better than that as far as individual moment, but because we didn't win that series, that home run really didn't mean much to the team. And kind of what I learned about running the bases in 96 was, okay, this is another great home run, but if you don't win, if the team doesn't win, then it doesn't really mean anything. And fortunately, we went on to win that game and win that series, and that home run became that pivotal moment.
Yeah, you had a great career in the major leagues. You were there around a long time with the New York Yankees, then played with some other historic franchises, the Red Sox for a year and the Dodgers, but people certainly know you as a Yankee. Now, one of your teammates, probably several of your teammates at some point, are going to go into the Hall of Fame. Derek Jeter getting elected to the Baseball Hall of Fame. Induction's obviously been pushed back because of everything we're going through, and you've probably been asked this a million times, but your thoughts and your time playing with the Hall of Famer Derek Jeter.
Well, it was one of those situations when I first met Derek in '95 in the off season in Tampa. We were living in Tampa, and he was living there also, and we got to meet each other and start working out at the complex together. And he was a young, 19, 20-year-old kid, and he had never been around us before. And we went to work out, and he's throwing as hard as he can here in January. And I'm like, hey, kid, relax. It's only January. And he's like, no, this is what I do every day. And he would take 250, 300 ground balls. He would take 250 swings in the cages. And this was kind of his routine. And, we get into spring training. He ends up making the team because Tony Fernandez breaks his hand. And all of a sudden just flourishes into this young kid that just was not afraid and just embraced the opportunity. And it was really great to watch. And what I was really interested in seeing when I got traded away in '97 after I wanted to be traded to play every day. After I left, what I really wanted to see when I came back in '99 was how Derek Jeter still was, because he had won Rookie of the Year, he had won 2 World Series. What was this kid like? I mean, he lived in New York City. He was now, the guy. Did he let it get to his head, or did he still maintain that same solid, work ethic? And I came back in '99, and the first game back, went out to the field early, and who was there but Derek Jeter, doing the same 250, 300 ground balls, the same 250, 300 swings. He had not changed his routine whatsoever, and it was really, really a pleasure to see.
Just real quickly, going back to those 2 plays, as you mentioned, you caught the entire game with the walk-off, and then as John Sterling was talking about, you were pinching for Girardi. Is it harder to come in like that as a pinch hitter and hit a home run like that after sitting on the bench?
Well, unfortunately, Buck Showalter was my coach all through the minor leagues, and when he first took over the big league coaching, him and I had a lot of battles because I wanted to play every day. And he just told me, he said, Jimmy, you are more valuable to me coming off the bench with your bat than you are being in there for 4 at bats, and just get used to it. This is part of what you need to do. It was something I never got used to, but it also was something that I was blessed with, to be able to be in those moments, to be able to be, called upon and be able to come through. When I look back on it, it was kind of a blessing that I was able to do that, because I may not have had these moments in the postseason had I not been used to doing something like that. So, it was a blessing and a curse at the same time. Your
mindset going to the plate in both of those at-bats?
Well, it was kind of funny. The first at bat in '95, after catching 15 innings, going to at bat, Buck Showalter grabbed me and said, "Hey, listen, you're done after this." He said, "Stanley's going to come in and catch, so just make it count." And I went up there and I hit the home run. And after we got done celebrating, the whole thing ended. I walked by Buck and I said, "Hey, Skip, did I make it count?" He just kind of laughed. So that was the first one. Now the second one, that was a situation that they had a pinch hit for Girardi with O'Neill because we had met, we were trying to get back in the game. And I always wondered, to this day, I've never really asked Joe personally, but if we had a third catcher on the roster, in that at bat, would Joe Torre have pinch hit for me? Because you got to remember, at that time, all the postseason heroics hadn't happened already. It was just the one in '95, and Torre wasn't a part of that. Would he have, if there would have been a third catcher on the roster like Posada, would he have pinch hit, Wade Boggs for me in that situation? Because I think he might have. Yep. But from my mindset going into that at bat, I was standing in the on deck or down in the dugout with Darryl Strawberry, and I said to Don Zimmer, "What's this guy got, Don?" And he said, "He throws 100 miles an hour, Jimmy. Just get ready." And I looked at Darryl Strawberry and I said, "Straw, I only got 2 bats left for tomorrow because I have to catch Pettit against Smoltz tomorrow. Can I borrow one of yours? If this guy throws 100, I don't want to break one of my bats." And Darryl had a brand new set of Mizuno bats, and I grabbed one out of the bag and I went up with Darryl Strawberry's bat and I hit that home run.
Wow, that is an incredible story. On the phone with us, Jim Leyritz. You can go to his website, jimleyritz.com. He's also on Twitter at @TheRealJLeyritz, and he's also an author. And the book is Catching Heat. And now is a great time. We like to get people on, Jim, that have books. They don't have to be coming out right now, but if they missed it the first time around when it first came out, it's a great time, to grab a book now while we're all inside and just killing time here. Talk to me about the book, what it's about.
Yeah, well, it's a book that I wrote back in 2007, which was originally titled The King and I. And it was all about my career, never being drafted, making it in New York, on the biggest stage that there was, hitting the home runs that I did. But the most important thing in my life was a decision that I had to make in 2004 when I was trying to come back from injury. I just signed a contract with the Padres for $1 million. And I had just gotten custody of my 3 boys, who were at the time 2 years old, 7 years old, and 9. And the judge in Florida told me if I went back to play baseball in San Diego, that I would have to give up custody of my kids. And my ex-wife was having drug problems and some issues at the time. And the judge said, "It doesn't matter. I'm going to leave those kids with her if you go back to play." And I made a choice that day to quit the game of baseball. And we had named I was writing the book with a guy named Burton Rocks, who wrote Paul O'Neill's book and Jack Klugman's book. And the name of the book was called The King and Dad. Well, unfortunately, in 2007, going into 2008, I had the accident that I was involved in. And it took 3 years to get through all of that, those issues and those problems. And during those 3 years, everybody backs away from me kind of. And during those 3 years, I was speaking at a church, and a woman heard me speaking to these kids, and she said, "You have a very inspirational story. Have you ever thought about writing a book?" And I said, "Well, funny you should ask. I've got 108 pages written already." And then so she sat down with me, read the 108 pages, and she looked at me and she said, "Oh my gosh, you have to write a book no matter what happens." And long story short, during that after that 3 years of getting through and being found not guilty by the courts, I was able to change the name of the book to called Catching Heat. And I teamed up with Jeffrey Lyons, the movie critic, and his brother, Doug Lyons, and helped she was my girlfriend at the time, but she was my ghostwriter. Between the 3 of them and me, we rewrote the book and called it Catching Heat. And it came out. The last 3 chapters were written to kind of tell the story about what I went through during those 3 years of waiting for trial and the delays that kept happening and the tragedy that we were all part of during that time. And, when it first came out, like you said, right now, it seems to be more popular than it did when it first came out in 2011, only because the publishing company was really not a sports company, and they really didn't publicize it very well.
Right.
And now that I've been out doing personal speaking and a lot of motivational speaking and church speaking, the book has become pretty popular again.
On the phone with us, Jim Leyritz, author of Catching Heat. You can check out that book at jimleyritz.com. He's a great Twitter follow at @TheRealJimLeyritz. He hit a couple huge home runs in the postseason that will live on forever in Yankee lore. He won 2 world championships with the New York Yankees, 96 and 99. Jim, let's take a break. I want to come back. I want to talk to you about your journey to the major leagues. You went undrafted. I want to talk about how you hooked down with the Yankees and how you finally made it up to the bigs with the Bronx Bombers. Also, the PED guys are starting to become eligible for the Hall of Fame. I want to get your thoughts on that, and also the sign stealing and a couple other things. Let's take a break. Tanner, why don't we continue our special Memorial Day weekend countdown? We're countdowning the top 100 Billboard songs from 2000 through 2019, taking a walk down memory lane this Memorial Day weekend. Essentially, these are songs that have all come out since Tanner was born. He was born in 2000, so we're walking down memory lane the last 20 years here on Memorial Day weekend on 92.1 The Team.
The top 100 songs of the past 20 years. Coming in at number 39, we have Thrift Shop featuring Wands by Macklemore and Ryan Lewis, released in 2013. At number 38, we have Dark Horse featuring Juicy J by Katy Perry from the year 2014. At number 37, released in 2015, we have See You Again featuring Charlie Puth by Wiz Khalifa. Number 36 is Family Affair by Mary J. Blige, released in 2001. And number 35, a song that I still listen to this day, Rockstar featuring 21 Savage by Post Malone, released in 2017. Continuing our top 100 songs of the past 20 years, number 34, Just the Way You Are by Bruno Mars, released in 2010. Released in 2002 at number 33, we have Dilemma featuring Kelly Rowland by Nelly. At number 32, released in 2014, is Happy by Pharrell Williams. At number 31 is Moves Like Jagger featuring Christina Aguilera by Maroon 5. And at number 30, another song that I still listen to this day, God's Plan by Drake, released in 2018.
In my pocket, I'm hunting, looking for a comer.
'Cause I'm coming at you like a dark horse. Are you ready for when I see you?
I feel just like a rock star.
Show you all the moves like Jagger. I've got the moves like Jagger.
God's plan. God's plan.
Hi, Saver. Walgreens here. We like the way you save. Take coffee. You know it doesn't have to cost $4 a cup, so you make your own. And co-pays on Medicare Part D. You save up to $5 and get 100 balance rewards points on each prescription when Walgreens is your preferred pharmacy. Save smartly on Med D. Walgreens. Trusted since 1901. Copay savings on Tier 1 generic drugs available through select plans that include Walgreens as a preferred pharmacy. Points cannot be earned in Arkansas, New Jersey, or New York. Complete details at walgreens.com/balance.
Let's say you just bought a house. Bad news is, you're one step closer to becoming your parents. Soon you'll have a separate fridge in the basement where extra groceries are exiled forever. Remember that frozen lasagna? Of course you don't. It's been down there since 2008. Good news is, it's easy to bundle home and auto through Progressive and save on your car insurance. Piece of cake. Behind the lasagna, it's very old. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and other insurers. Discount not available in all states or situations.
The top 100 songs of the past 20 years starting to wind down. At number 29, we have Royals by Lorde, which was released in 2013. At number 28, All About That Bass by Meghan Trainor, released in 2014. At number 27, released in 2018 off the album Astroworld, another song I still listen to, Sicko Mode by Travis Scott. At number 26, we have Apologize featuring One Republic by Timbaland, released in 2007. And number 25, another song I still listen to this day, Gold Digger featuring Jamie Foxx by Kanye West. It's an oldie but a goodie, released in 2005. Coming in at number 24 is TikTok, not the app. It's a song by Kesha, released in 2010. At number 23 is Let Me Love You by Mario, released in 2004. Number 22 is Perfect by Ed Sheeran with Beyonce from 2017. Number 21, The Black Eyed Peas, Boom Boom Pow, released in 2009. And number 20, No One by Alicia Keys from 2007.
And we'll never be royal. It's a running our blood. Because you know I'm all about that bass, no trouble.
This shit way too formal, y'all know I don't follow suit.
Too late to apologize. It's too late.
I ain't saying she a gold digger, but she ain't messing with no broke. Now I ain't saying she a gold digger.
Don't stop, make it pop, DJ blow my speakers up tonight. I'ma fight till
You should let me love you. Let me be the one to give you everything.
Darling, you look perfect tonight.
Gotta get that boom, boom, boom. That boom, boom, boom. That boom, boom, boom.
no one, no one.
But they have really struggled when they've had a chance to push one across.
He's calling in someone. I think he's calling in
Joel Oriend.
And I don't know what you call that guy.
On 92.1 The Team.
All right, welcome back. It is our Memorial Day weekend special as we are counting down Billboard's top 100 songs, 2000 through 2019. Taking a walk down memory lane, you just hear those songs and it just takes you back to a point in time and a place in your life, some for better, some for worse, but they're just like mental snapshots, frozen in time when you hear some of those songs. And we're wrapping that up, doing that throughout the show today. Want to get back to our great guest, a former New York Yankee, also played for the Dodgers and the Red Sox. 11 years in the bigs. He has a book, Catching Heat. You can follow him on Twitter at The Real Jim Leyritz. His website, jimleyritz.com. So, Jim, you play at the University of Kentucky for the Wildcats. You go undrafted in 1985. How do you catch on with the New York Yankees?
This is a great story. I was out actually, and I was supposed to be drafted out of high school as a catcher. And 4 days before the draft, fractured my foot. And the irony of the whole story about that was the team that was supposed to be taking me out of high school was the Atlanta Braves. A team that I wound up killing in the postseason. And they were going to draft me, and they ended up passing on me because I broke the foot. But then they came back at the end of the summer because they saw me playing again, and they said, listen, what would it take to sign him? And my dad said, give him $10,000, and he'll sign. And the Braves came back and said, we can only give him $5,000. And my dad said, well, then he's going to junior college. So I went to junior college for 2 years. I went to Kentucky for a year, but I couldn't squat on my foot yet. So I was playing third base in the outfield, and no one was taking a chance on me. So after I didn't get drafted out of Kentucky, and I had pretty good years at both junior colleges and Kentucky, and my roommate at Kentucky lived in Hayes, Kansas, and said, listen, screw the draft, just come out and play in the collegiate league out here in the Jayhawk League, and we'll have some fun. We'll just have fun, because he didn't get drafted either. So I went out and stayed with him. I told the coach out there, listen, I want to start catching again. And so the coach let me catch, and sure enough, we were playing in the NBC tournament in Wichita, and I caught like 4 games in a row. And after the 4th game, the scout came up to me and said, hey, what are you doing catching? And I said, I can catch. And he said, well, it says on your draft record that you still couldn't catch according to your college coach. And I was like, you got to be kidding me. I said, I've been able to catch. He just wouldn't let me because his nephew was the catcher on Kentucky. And he said, well, listen, I just saw you catch 4 games, and I loved it. You've always been able to swing the bat. Would you consider signing right now? And I said, well, let me call my dad. My dad got on a plane from Cincinnati the next day, and he flew out. And between the time my dad flew out and the time that we met with the Yankees, the Kansas City Royals stepped in and said, hey, we want to sign you too. And I said, I let them kind of go back and forth. And, I went to the Yankees and said, listen, they're willing to give me $8,000, but they won't pay for my education. And if I don't make it, I want to be able to go back to school. If you give me that, I'll sign with you guys today. And sure enough, the Yankees said, yeah, we'll pay for your education, no problem. Wow. And the next day we signed with the Yankees, and that was it.
That's an amazing story. That's incredible. On the phone with us, Jim Leyritz. He is a 11-year pro, 9 with the New York Yankees, 2-time World Series champ, 96 and 99. Let's just say you could take a performance-enhancing drug that doesn't necessarily have negative effects. It just allows you to recover better, get stronger, do all the positive things, but not the negative things. As a hitter and as a catcher, because you played a lot of catcher, if you had to choose, you'd rather be able to know what was coming and be able to know the signs, or be able to use a performance-enhancing drug that was illegal. Which one would you choose?
That's a tough question. I mean, in all honesty, if I know what's coming, it's going to make me good no matter what I'm taking or what I'm on.
Right.
I think to me that's the biggest issue that I have with what they did. I don't have an issue with pitchers tipping their pitches and guys being able to pick that up, guys being able to relay signs from second base. When I was a catcher, it was my job to watch the guy at second base to see if he was giving away my location or my signs, or that was part of learning the game of baseball as a catcher. Yep. And I'm still to this day befuddled that if the Astros were banging on a garbage can and that hitter could hear, how could that catcher not be aware of what's going on? Right. In our day, all we would do if something like that would happen, I would look at the hitter and go, "Hey, dude, are you serious? I'm going to drill you with this next pitch because I know what you're doing." And I think that's really, Joel and Tanner, the big difference today is that I think the issue that everybody has with the sign stealing is that it was so real time.
Right.
That it was truly, you truly knew what was coming.
Right.
And there was, it left no doubt to things. To me, I thought that was the extreme. The thing we kind of laugh about us, especially us old guys, as they call us, the new generation has asked for all this new technology, for all these new statistics, for all these new analytics. And I always say this: just be careful what you ask for.
Right.
Be careful what you ask for. Right. They're going to use it. They're going to use it against you, just like they just did. And again, back in our day, that was part of the chess game in baseball. It was, Buck Showalter was one of the best at picking up the third base coach's signs. He would sit during an entire game and watch a third base coach, and he could pick up their signs.
Wow.
And that was a gift. But he wasn't cheating.
Right.
It was just he was figuring the game out. Yep. To me, that wasn't cheating.
Right.
Again, the performance-enhancing stuff. I loved Willie McCovey.
Yep.
Willie McCovey, Hall of Famer. When all this was going on, and when I think it was the year nobody was inducted to the Hall of Fame, they had Willie McCovey on, and they said, "Willie, what do you think about all this?" And Willie McCovey said, "Joe," it's a Joe Morgan. He said, "Joe, in our day, if somebody came into our locker room and said, 'Hey, we got something that make you bigger, stronger, faster, quicker. It's not against the rules right now,' Joe, we would have taken it." And you know what? If it worked, we probably would have kept taking it. And you know what? If it wasn't against the rules, we weren't going to be doing anything wrong.
Right.
And I think that's really what's happened with baseball. I mean, HGH is a drug I think that people have to look into. That is this beneficial? I mean, we got $30 million players in the game today, $20 million players. These owners are investing a lot of money in them. Are we smarter to drug test, or are we smarter to find something like HGH that could actually help these players recover better? And like you just mentioned to me before, that it's not hurting you.
Yeah.
It is safe to be able to use in certain rations and certain things. And the only thing that you run into in situations like that, Joel, is the abuse, which usually comes with some of these things.
No doubt about it. Let me ask you this. The steroid guys are starting to come up for the Baseball Hall of Fame. And again, it's a little tricky. Some guys you're pretty sure. Some guys, I think maybe there's smoke there. Other guys you're not sure. If you're a voter, Jim, I mean, do these guys start getting in? How's that going to happen, do you think, with the Hall?
Well, I have to think of a couple of things. I'm the biggest advocate for Pete Rose to be in the Hall of Fame. I mean, I grew up in Cincinnati. Pete was my idol. I'm hoping that now that the MLB is making money from betting, and from the the major leagues point, I think it's time to we revisit Pete Rose and say, you know what, you've been punished long enough. Let's go back to what your question was as far as the steroid guy, the cloud of doubt amongst the players. Listen, we know there's guys in there that have used it. We know there's guys in there that have done worse things than steroids and other things that are in the Hall of Fame. There's two guys in particular, Barry Bonds and Roger Clemens, that I don't care what they put in their body, when they did it or whatever. These guys were so talented, and the one thing that gets lost in all of this steroid conversation is how hard that Barry Bonds and Roger Clemens worked.
Right.
It wasn't something that they just stuck a needle in their arm and became these great players. Roger Clemens had a workout regime that was a Navy SEAL program. I mean, this guy, and I used to watch him, and I just get tired of watching him.
Right.
I'd be like, dude, this guy would go run 5 miles before his start.
Right.
And I'm like, wow, this isn't something that's just coming naturally to this guy. He's putting in the work and the effort, and really, whether he took it or not, the one question people always say is they think they started taking it towards the end of their careers, so they could play longer. Well, you know what? Their careers were pretty damn good before they even started taking this stuff. Maybe they did, and maybe that is the only reason that they tried an HGH or a steroid or whatever to prolong their careers. But these two guys, even when they weren't using and even when they weren't suspected of using, these guys were head and shoulders talented above anybody else. Sure. And I truly believe that they belong in the Hall of Fame.
Absolutely. The devil's advocate would say they were so great, they probably didn't need to take that stuff and to risk all that, but I certainly understand with that type of attitude and personality. You're driven and you just want to be the best of the best.
You got to remember one thing. Bonds and Clemens were taking it when it wasn't against the rules.
That's true. It was
before fitness testing was implemented.
Yep.
So that's, to me, A-Rod or guys that have been caught after there was rules in effect, and just like Pete Rose, they broke a rule that was written.
Right.
That's why Pete is not in there.
Right.
Then those guys may not be able to be in, but the guys before then they were maybe admitting it, or maybe but it wasn't against the rules at the time. I don't think they should be punished for that. Well, my argument with the Pete Rose situation is, listen, first of all, Pete's one of my best friends, a good friend of mine. We signed autographs together at the Mandalay Bay. I've watched him as he took in money, turn to his guy and say, hey, go bet this on the horses. I mean, the guy still has a gambling problem.
Right.
All right. It's an issue. Okay. I get that. And if I'm Rob Manfred, I don't let him back in the game. I put him in the Hall, but I don't let him back in the game.
Right.
But the one thing that, to this day, you cannot find one player on those teams back in when Pete was managing or whatever he was betting on, there's not one guy that has come forward and said, Pete Rose came to me and said I had to throw this game. Pete Rose told me that I had to not get this hit. Pete Rose told me to make it out in this situation. It was not that kind of scandal.
Right.
That Pete was just betting. And you know what? Yeah. Did he have a little more insider information? I mean, yeah, okay, he knew that Will McEnany might have been hurt and wasn't going to be his closer that day. But it wasn't because Will McEnany was told, hey, Will, you're not pitching today.
Right.
And not one player has ever come forward and said, wow, that's why Pete gave me those 5 days off.
Right.
It hasn't been, there's been nothing like that. So for me, I'm going, the guy's got a problem. He's a gambler.
Yep.
I mean, there's not one other thing that he did on the baseball field that tarnished what Pete Rose is all about.
Right. Yeah.
And put him in as a player, never recognized him as a manager.
Right.
And you know what? Pete Rose story goes away.
Sure, absolutely.
In a way, I don't think Pete Rose wants to go in the Hall of Fame at this point because he's making more money being the odd guy out.
Right.
I remember my father. My father and I, and my whole family, sitting in the Atlanta hotel before Game 3. And we're sitting there, and my dad looks at me, and we're sitting at a table, and David Cohn and his father are sitting at the bar. And my dad goes, Jimmy, isn't that David Cohn? And I said, yeah, Dad, why? He goes, he's drinking. And I'm like, yeah? And he goes, doesn't he have a game? Isn't he pitching tomorrow? I said, yeah, Dad, if you were pitching Game 3 of the World Series with your team down 2-0, wouldn't you have a couple drinks to try to sleep?
That's true. That's true. That's true. You know, we don't think of that stuff. But, yeah, you guys are humans, and you got to release and relax, too.
Well, and I always told people that every day because people always ask me about that. What was the lifestyle like? And I said, guys, listen, if you can't relax and have a drink, you can't relax and go out to dinner, and you can't relax and do this, you have to realize we do this for 188 straight days.
Right. Yeah.
And we play that game every night. If you don't try to live some normalcy as far as just a normal life,
right,
you're going to die in this game. You know, especially in baseball.
Absolutely.
You know? Baseball is a mental drain.
Yeah.
And it's something, you know, that it's a marathon, not a sprint.
Well, that is no doubt 162 games through the dog days of summer. It is a marathon, the baseball season. That is for sure. It is not for wimps. Jim, thanks so much for your time. I encourage people to go to your website, JimLeyritz.com. Follow you on Twitter @TheRealJimLeyritz. They should really pick up your book if they're a Yankee fan, if they're a baseball fan, if they're a fan of a great inspirational story that has ups and downs and how to persevere. They really need to check out your book, Catching Heat. Jim, thanks so much. Continued success, and stay healthy, you and yours, and we'll catch up again sometime.
All right, Joel. Thank you and Tanner for having me.
All right, there you go. Jim Leyritz, former New York Yankee, two-time world champion. Let's take a break. Before we do, Tanner, why don't you pop back in here, and we'll continue to count down the songs from Billboard, the top 100 songs, 2000 through 2019.
Inside the top 20 now for the top 100 songs of the last 20 years. Coming in at number 19 is Blurred Lines featuring Pharrell Williams and T.I. by Robin Thicke, which came out in 2013. Number 18 is Call Me Maybe by Carly Rae Jepsen from 2012. Number 17 is Without Me by Halsey from the year 2018, released in 2001. At number 16 is How You Remind Me by Nickelback. Number 15 is Sunflower by Post Malone and Sway Lee, released in 2018. Number 14, Rollin' in the Deep by Adele from the year 2011. At number 13 is Despacito featuring Justin Bieber by Luis Fonsi and Daddy Yankee from the year 2017, released in 2012. At number 12 is Somebody That I Used to Know featuring Kimbra by Gautier. Number 11 is Low featuring T-Pain by Flo Rida, released in 2008. And number 10, a fairly recent song. The hype's kind of died down, but it's on here nonetheless. The Old Town Road remix featuring Billy Ray Cyrus by Lil Nas X from 2019.
I stuck by you. You're a sunflower. Could have had it all. Respirar tu cuello despacito. Deja que te diga cosas al oído. Listen, I don't need that door. Now you're just somebody that I used to know. Roots with the bird. Yeah, I'm gonna take my horse.
The Maple City Dodge Sales Department is open. Your favorite guys, Gary, Larry, Aaron, Doug, and John, are back and available by appointment. Simply call Maple City Dodge and tell them you're ready for a great deal. The incentives are huge, and the sales team is highly motivated. The service, collision, and detail departments are also open. They'll pick up, service, and return your vehicle when the work is done. Call Maple City Dodge in Hornell. They're ready to get you back on the road with the real deal every time.
backseat of your Rover, in love with your body. Every day discovering something brand new. I'm in love with the shape of you. I got a feeling. Party rockers in the house tonight. Everybody just have a good time. Don't give it to you. Saturday night and we in the spot. Don't believe me, just watch.
At number 9, we found Love featuring Calvin Harris by Rihanna from 2011. Number 8 is Yeah featuring Lil Jon and Ludacris by Usher, released in 2004. Number 7, released in 2018, is Girls Like You featuring Cardi B by Maroon 5. Number 6 is We Belong Together by Mariah Carey from the year 2005. Here it is, the top 5 of the top 100 songs from the past 20 years. Coming in at number 5 is Closer featuring Halsey by the Chainsmokers from 2016. Number 4, released in 2017, is Shape of You by Ed Sheeran. Number 3 is I Got a Feeling by the Black Eyed Peas from 2009. Number 2 is Party Rock Anthem featuring Lauren Bennett and Goon Rock by LMFAO, released in 2011. And last but not least, the number 1 song on the top 100 songs of the past 20 years, Uptown Funk featuring Bruno Mars by Mark Ronson from 2014. And that does it for your top 100 songs of the past 20 years.
Back when he was decent, I put up with his crap. You know what I mean? He's at the end of his run.
It's the Joel Oriend Show.
When's the last time you've ever seen that garbage?
92.1 The Team.
All righty, let's bring in Tanner. Go ahead, Tanner. Give that question one more time here.
All right, here is Tanner's topical trivia. Michael Jordan once averaged 41 points per game in an NBA Finals series. Which team did he do this against, with the teams being the Lakers, Blazers, Suns, Sonics, and Jazz?
I'm going to go Jazz.
Nope, it was against the Phoenix Suns. The Bulls played Charles Barkley and the Phoenix Suns in the 93 finals, where the Bulls won in 6, giving them their 3rd title. Michael had many big scoring games in that series. He had 55 points in Game 4, which was the most points he ever scored in a finals game, and tied Rick Barry for the 2nd highest scoring finals game in NBA history, and he scored 40-plus points in 3 other games. The 2 games against Phoenix that MJ scored below 40 were Game 1, in which he still had 31, and Game 6, which he had 33. 9 of those 33 came in the 4th quarter, which turned out to be all the points in that 4th quarter for the Bulls, other than John Paxson's memorable game-winning 3.
All right, there you go. And let's finish up with today in sports history.
Today in 1941, Joe Louis defeated Buddy Bear on a DQ in 7 for the heavyweight boxing title. In 1948, Joe DiMaggio hit 3 consecutive home runs. In 1962, Joe Pepitone became the 2nd Yankee, only to Joe DiMaggio, to hit 2 home runs in 1 inning. In 2013, Patrick Roy was named the head coach of his former team, the Colorado Avalanche, where he won 2 Stanley Cups. And in 2018, NFL owners approved a new NFL national anthem policy whereby players are required to stand if they choose to be on the field for pregame presentations. Looking at birthdays, born on this day in 1972, former All-American running back for the UMass Minutemen, former running back the Washington Redskins and Buffalo Bills, broadcaster for ESPN, and detective for the Orlando Police Department, Rini Ngolia, born on this day in 1979, former NBA player who spent 14 years in the league playing for the Heat, Hornets, Clippers, Bulls, Raptors, Pacers, Wizards, and Spurs, the late Rasul Butler. Born on this day in 1991, after being selected 13th overall in the 2014 NFL Draft, this player went on to win Defensive Rookie of the Year and has since become a 6-time Pro Bowler, 5-time member of the first team All-Pro, 2-time Defensive Player of the Year in 2017 and 2018, and the NFL sacks leader in 2018. It's Rams defensive tackle Aaron Donald, and born on this day in 2000, the 8th overall pick in the last NBA Draft, now playing for the New Orleans Pelicans, Jackson Hayes. And that does it for today in sports history.
All right. Thank you so much, Tanner. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Enjoy next week, your Memorial Day, and we'll chat next week, okay?
All right. Thanks. Same to you, and behave yourself.
All right. That does it, everybody. Want to thank our guest, Dickie Simpkins. You can follow him on Twitter at DS8BBallin. That's DS8BBALLN. and 3-time NBA champion with the Chicago Bulls. He was part of those teams that were just featured on The Last Dance on the ESPN documentary series. And you can also check out his business that he started after his playing days, nextlevelperformance.com. He is also a scout now for the Washington Wizards and is a color analyst for college basketball on FS1. And thank you to Jim Leyritz. He is a 2-time World Series champion with the Bronx Bombers, the New York Yankees, 1996 and 1999. You can check out his book at jimleyritz.com. You can follow him on Twitter at The Real Jim Leyritz. We did not get to do our classic Q segment. We were hoping to get Ricky Krautman on. We just ran out of time. We apologize to Ricky. I do plan on getting him on again. That is a promise. So we will adjust our schedules and make sure we can get Ricky on, talk about his days kicking for the Syracuse Orange, then his time up in Rochester when he kicked for the professional indoor football team in Rochester, the Rock City Thunder. So we'll do that real soon. Have yourself a great weekend and a wonderful Memorial Day weekend and Memorial Day. And our thoughts and prayers are out there to everybody who has served, who is serving, and who will serve in the greatest military in the world. We thank you for your service and your sacrifice. Be good, everybody. If not, have fun trying.
Memorial Day. It was a day of remembrance that happened to be a day off. Now it's a day off that happens to be a day of remembrance. But I remember. I recall faces that smiled and laughed and had homes to go back to. But the faces are still, the laughter an echo, and their homes more empty. I remember, and that's enough. You did not know them, but what you do know is the way of life they knew, and the way of life they fought for. So this is what I ask you to remember. Remember all those who picked up arms to defend this country in war, even if you did not think their cause was just. Their commitment was the same, their sacrifice as courageous. But there are other things to remember, like the ideals this country was founded on. And though the cynics among us are quick to point out that these ideals live only in our hearts, they are still values to aspire to. Values like treating people the way you'd like to be treated, and the right of all people to the pursuit of happiness. Now to you these words may sound overly sentimental. They may be. But they are also what makes people march off to the battlefield. And this battlefield doesn't have to be on the other side of the world. It can be, and is, in some instances, on the streets of our cities and towns. And the soldiers don't all wear uniforms. They can be mothers and fathers, working 2 jobs so they and their children can have a better life. So this Memorial Day, remember, all that makes us what we are, the good and the bad. Know this, that when you total it up and compare it to the rest of the world, America is still a bargain and worth remembering.
We're ending the show, and we hope you enjoyed it very much. Many things transpired here today, and we hope you stick around for whoever's next, because they're really, really, really good as well.
Ladies and gentlemen, that concludes today's broadcast. Thank you for listening to my son, because without you listening, he would still be living at home.